Today we're going to learn about end user training in Dynamics 365 applications. This applies to the entire stack, CRM, finance and operations, and also Business Central, with small differences between the different applications, but the approach, the strategy is essentially the same. So we're going to learn about who to involve in the training, when to deliver training, and how to deliver training that sticks. I often use this terminology, training that sticks, or training that stays, so that once you deliver training or you receive training as an end user, the training that you will receive will stay with you, right? It will stick, which means that you retain what you learn, you can apply what you learn to your professional life at work, whether you are a consultant, whether you are an end user, solution architect, or maybe even if you're just starting out your career in Dynamics applications. So a bit about me. My name is Alfredo. I'm a senior Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central consultant. I work primarily with Business Central, but I also support organizations with finance and operations and CRM and Power Platform and Azure. Although when I work on a project as a lead solution architect or a functional consultant, my speciality is Business Central. You can see on this slide my certifications, my qualifications. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and also Microsoft certified professional for Business Central, Azure, Power Platform, CRM, and FNO. ERP stands for finance and operations. CRM is for customer engagement, like sales and customer service, field service, and so on. So today we are going to learn my strategy for user training. Why training often fails. So we start with why training fails very often. And it's not that users can't learn, really, even though we must admit these applications are quite complex. And so it's not something that you can master in a few days. Still, users can learn if we train them effectively. The problem is that training isn't set up to succeed. And I'm going to talk more about that later. We don't set up training as trainers, consultants. We don't really set up training for success. So here are the key reasons why training often fails in Dynamics implementations. We cannot really blame the users, can we? The first reason is that training is often treated as an afterthought. It's often rushed, either at the end of the project, just before UAT, so the users must use the system, let's give them some training, right? Or when budgets and energies are low, because you go through analysis, you go through design, you have all the extensions to configure, licenses, project management, right? And so it can be overwhelming. It's our job. We do it day in and day out, but for an organization that needs to run, right, the operations, an accountant must do the accounting, salespeople must do sales, and so on. Learning a system on top of what they do every day is a lot of work. And so we often end up delivering hours and hours and days of training where energy are low. And rather than trying to build a training strategy into the project timeline from the start. Another reason why generic training, or usually the training that we, and I say we because I also work as a consultant and I have plenty of experience in this field, most of Microsoft partners approach training with a one-size-fits-all delivery. So everyone gets the same generic training, regardless of the organization processes and the specific configuration, right? You might have been through that. This is how you do sales. This is how you do manufacturing. This is inventory management. It's all pretty generic, but this stuff is online. I don't need a consultant to charge me thousands of pounds or US dollars, depending on where you are in the world, per day or per week to teach me something I can learn for free. It's generic. It's not effective. The same templates are reused for every project, training agenda, training material, just tweak something slightly. Sometimes we even make mistakes because, again, it's all a templated process. We repeat the same thing over and over. But ultimately, also, one of the reasons why this strategy doesn't work is because when we have extensions, and all dynamics projects have some form of extensions, right? Either custom developed for your organization or provided by an independent software vendor. And extensions are demoed for user acceptance. Right? This is what the OCR does for you. This is the inventory replenishment, right? This is what it does for you. But these extensions are not really embedded into the training. They are treated separately. And so the training feels disconnected. And users cannot really learn in this way effectively, right? So another reason why training fails is that training, again, is delivered either too early or too late. So either users forget what they learned just before go live because they learn something, they never really get to time to use it too much, and then it's time to do UAT, it's time to go live, and then I forgot how to apply a discount, for example, a discount on customers, right? And maybe they're trained well under pressure with no context, right? And they lose confidence. And the worst thing you can do for your clients when you approach a project as daunting as a dynamics, but not just dynamics, a business application implementation, the worst thing you can do is to try to teach them something while they are under pressure. It will never work, right? So who needs training? Now that we understand that the problems that we have, let's address how we can start getting the training right. The first thing we do is we address who needs training. And this might seem obvious to you. Well, everybody in the organization needs to be trained, right? If everybody in the organization needs to learn the new system, who do we train? Do we train everybody? Do we train only the key users? We first need to identify the user roles across the business. And I say roles, and you will see why in a moment. So who gets to who gets to train, essentially? We need to understand the different areas and process overlaps for cross-modular training. It's not just about people in sales, learning sales, people in manufacturing, learning production orders, different areas and process overlaps, because in every organization's processes or sometimes overlap. So there is an overlap between sales and inventory, because eventually we need to ship goods that we sold, right? And so where do we stop sales training and where do we start inventory training, right? Purchasing and finance, we need to look at the cash flow when we commit to purchase goods or services. How do we train? Do we isolate finance and accounting, accounts payable from purchasing? In some organizations, these areas overlap. And modular training is just not good enough. Cross-modular training for who needs to train. And then we need to look at, again, specific examples. You can say, does the purchasing team need training on receiving process? Or maybe the receiving process is all managed by the warehouse. Is the finance team responsible for customer pricing and campaign management? Do they need to approve a campaign management? Do finance need to approve a specific customer discount? Or is it just about the sales team? Do we have research and development influence decisions about manufacturing costs? If so, well, we need to include research and development in the training for the manufacturing module, because manufacturing costs driven by routings, work centers, machine centers, well, it's not just about manufacturing. Right? So really, you can see that when we define who needs to be trained and who we need to deliver the train for, it's really based on processes and not just modules. Modular training is not good enough, right? Here is an example, and I want to insist here because this is the most critical element of user training. Process training is cross-functional. In any organization, modules don't really exist. As consultants, we think in terms of modules, the finance module, the inventory module, but organizations don't think in this way. Here is an example for the Microsoft Business Process Catalog for the order to cash process. And specifically, we have the managed sales order sub-process, and we are looking at a flow chart for process that allows users to manage customer returns and exchanges. And you can see in this example, we start from a sales representative and customer service. We receive a request from the customer. Then we need to determine the request type. Do we need to exchange the item because it's defective, right? Do we need to return it? Do we need to service maybe the item? Do we need to repair it? Or maybe we just need to refund the item and the customer is going to keep it. Regardless of what we do, the process might involve inventory manager or inventory management team. It might include a service manager if there is a service of repair. We might look at terms and conditions, costs associated to it. We might get an approval from finance, and then we have the finance team responsible for processing the refund, or maybe confirm and post the credit memo. In organizations where you have even more complex scenarios where different business units are responsible for the process, or maybe we have complicated logistics where the items are shipped from one country to the other. But we have inventory management, warehouse management. You can see how a simple process that can be described as process customer returns, which as a consultant, we can think, well, it's a 10 minutes job. Sales return, click here, done. You can see how that can really expand and create something more complicated. We cannot simply show a 10 minutes video or send an email to a user. This is how you create a sales return if we don't understand what happens in the organization when a customer calls and says, we just received an item, I need to exchange it. That is effective training, which is cross-functional, right? So now let's look at the when. So we learned what goes wrong. We started to think about who needs to get the training, how we decide who to involve with the training. Now it's about timing, when. And so here I have 4 stages of user training. These 4 stages might sound a bit counterintuitive to you, because if we think about what Dynamics partners like Dynamics 365 partners do very often, you might only find maybe 2 or 3 stages in large companies, large projects that spans across years. My approach is to use 4 stages to determine when to do this training. And you will see that that is actually aligned with Microsoft Success by Design for Dynamics implementations. So the first user training, the first stage of user training is familiarization. This is key because these applications are complex. And so the first stage, familiarization, we deliver that before the design phase. The design phase is when we start putting together the overall solution architecture. So we went through the analysis, we got the requirements, we talk about process. And so we need users to know a bit about the application, the terminology, the user interface, the cloud architecture, because we asked the team, our clients, to make important decisions. And we suggested them how to go through this complex project. And we need them to know the basics. And so familiarization, without getting into the specific details of the application design, must be done to build awareness and early engagement. You want your user to say, well, yes, I know what you're talking about when you said this card and this process, the user interface, this kind of document, right? This way to generate insights and business intelligence. I've seen that online, and you trained me about this one a couple of weeks ago. I know what I can relate to that. That means that your team, your client's team, will respond better to the co-design when we try to put together essentially the overall solution, right? Once we get through this initial familiarization phase, when it's time to train key users, and key users are usually subject matter experts, those who are going to be responsible for confirming the design, approving the actual solution specifications. And so we do that after the solution is fully configured. It's configured, which means it works pretty much like we want that to work after we go live. All right. And so we go live with a solution which is fully configured with the right extensions. Maybe we miss a couple of reports. Maybe we don't have all the data right. But still, we help prepare users for user acceptance testing. And also, we empower them so that they can actually do the end user training, unless we deliver the training. I mean, we consultants, but it's unlikely, right? You have a project where you work for an organization with 200, 500 users. You don't really want to train all of them. We typically recommend the approach of train the trainer, a key user, an expert in the subject, a line manager, maybe a team leader, and we equip them so that they can learn how to train their team, but also how to make important decisions about what to do afterwards. So this is about training in a fully configured sandbox that we will use after go live. So this is the phase 3, which you will not find very often when you work with Dynamics partners. And it's unfortunate, and this is where partners usually try to save and cut the budget. I've seen phase 3, really, it's quite rare, really. I haven't seen it in many partners. Only the partners that are really, very effective do that. So this is end user training support. This is important. Trainers and consultants don't often train the end users, but they provide support. And we do it after UAT, after user acceptance testing, when key users train their team, like the system is fully configured and it works fine, and all the extensions are in place. In a few weeks, we will go live. You need to use it, and you need to learn how to use it daily, day in and day out. It's not the consultant, it's not the trainer that does the job, it's the key users, right? And so this is why end user training support is critical. It's also included, you can see here, I wanted to write it on my presentation because it's critical. This concept is critical. Dynamics 365 is an ever-evolving and ever-growing product. Therefore, training is an ongoing process that requires constant adaptation and updates. And I also include the source, which is from the Microsoft Learn website. So we don't deliver key user training and then we forget about it, because it's an evolving and growing product for a company that will evolve and will adapt, and maybe they will change the way they work because the new technology allows them to work in a slightly different way. So it's a strategic tool that requires a strategic training. And so why do we need this phase 3? That only a few Dynamics partners, but it's very rare. You don't find it very often. We really need it because subject matter experts, key users, cannot magically turn into Dynamics super users or experts just after a few days of training with you in a system that they never used before. It is unreasonable to expect, right, that a sales manager can become an expert in Dynamics CRM and train a team of 50 sales representatives in a new system just after spending 2 days with you as a consultant. It's unreasonable. It's never going to happen. Inventory management, warehouse management, how do you expect to do that? And so this is what we see very often in traditional implementations. A consultant like myself is assigned to a project. And so we have the project manager says, Alfredo, we got 2 days of training budget for warehouse management. Right, 2 days of training, which means I need to spend a few hours preparing with the agenda. Then I need to get online with my team, with my client, and then I deliver the training. I follow the agenda. I do a bit of exercise. It's 2 days done. And now what? Now, according to the methodology of the partners, now these users that I trained over 2 days can train their team, a team of 50 warehouse team members, how to manage an entire warehouse cycle from inbound to outbound in an application that they never used before, right? It's never going to happen. So phase 3 is critical. And so now we have the phase 4, which is a post-go live reinforcement. I call this as a nice to have, all right? It's not that critical as phase 3, which is absolutely essential. Phase 4 is not so nice to have. And I recommend for companies that have the budget, and this can really help. We do that after go live to help the organizations with continuous learning. We have new joiners. We have a new starter training pack, right? We have a quick, let's say, short training sessions every time Microsoft releases a new update, right? New features, AI agents, now they are being introduced, right? Business intelligence, new Power BI tools, new integrations. Spend a couple of hours every 2 or 3 weeks. This is what you can do now in your application. It must be tailored, right? Organizations that use manufacturing and maybe visual scheduling for their manufacturing. And so now we have Power BI that does a bit of visual scheduling for resource management. How many partners looked at their customer list and says, well, you know what? We have 20 customers who went live with manufacturing over the last 3 years. They can all benefit from this new introduction. Let's call them one by one and say, you know what? I'm going to train you and your team for free, because I know that you use manufacturing, and Microsoft had just released a new product that will help your organization. How does it take? How long does it take? Nothing much. Does it cost? Maybe. Will that help your team, your client? Tremendously, right? So how do we put everything together? How to deliver training that sticks. My 3-part training strategy. Now, first we talk about the stages, and now we talk about how the strategy. How can we put all these things, everything together? It seems a lot of work to do. Well, actually, it is a lot of work, but it creates a lot of value, and we can stack it over time so that in a project that lasts a couple of years, it doesn't feel like training. It doesn't feel a lot, and we can allocate the budget that we can save on hypercare and customer support, because the better you train your team, your clients, the fewer support tickets, right, you will get. So the part 1 of my strategy is to embed training into the initiate phase as part of the solution architecture and design pillars. I want to take credit for this phase 1, really, part 1 of my strategy, but really, this is all about Microsoft Success by Design, which is the Microsoft framework, best practices to deliver Dynamics 365 solutions. And I have included the link here. So I wish I can take credit for this, but really, I am using Microsoft recommendations. Start early. Embed training into your strategy. Don't try to fit training into your project plan when and if you got time, right? It's part of the design, essentially. Part 2 of the strategy is to create a training plan, because as I said before, training, it's not about tasks or a list of tasks that you must fit into a project plan. Well, we've got a couple of weeks before UAT. Now is the time for training. Okay, let's put together a couple of agendas and let's deliver 6 hours of training over 2 days on warehouse management. You think you solved the problem? You think your client can go live. It's unthinkable, right? It will never work. So we create a training plan, and a training plan you can see in this visuals here that it's made of a lot of elements. The objectives must be clear, and the objective of a training plan is not to train the user, right? This is what we do. The objective is ensure that users in accounts payable can match a vendor invoice to an order in less than 10 minutes. As they must be as detailed as that, because if that doesn't happen, we know that training is not effective. Maybe training is effective. Maybe you have a problem with your UAT configuration, maybe the data, right? But if you don't create clear objectives, you will never know if your training is failing. And if users cannot complete their tasks because of lack of training, because whatever else, then you can't go live, right? And it's not ideal. So the scope of the training, do we have other applications in scope? Cross-functional, sales and finance, right? Manufacturing and product development, marketing campaigns and sales. But we also have CRM and Business Central. We have mobile handhelds. We have integrations with third-party software, right? And so that must be included. We have the audience. Who needs to get the training? But what are their skills? Right? What kind of proficiency with IT tools do they have? Do they use a legacy system? And a legacy system, are they migrating from one system to another? Well, in that case, they are familiar with concepts such as databases, right? Posting and registering document transactions. Or maybe you are working with a warehouse team of an organization that experienced growth very fast. And a year ago, they used to do or manage all the warehouse operations with paper and pen. And now they have 5 times the volume, and they are overwhelmed by manual data processing, and they want a new software. That's great. But you need to consider that a user who spent the last 5 years working and managing processes with paper and pen are going to be trained. They must be trained in a different way, right? The delivery approach. Do we need to spend time on site? If not, we deliver training remotely. Perfect. If we deliver training remotely, how can we ensure that people stay on top and they don't turn on their Teams, right? And then they have they check their emails while they're working with us. Because if they do that, then training is ineffective. You might argue, well, it's not my fault. Well, if your team or your client doesn't spend time, it doesn't pay attention to you as the trainer, well, who's to blame, right? It's part of the training strategy. Risks about the training, right? Will the training be effective? Are we going to use any sensitive data that in the training that we shouldn't expose, for example, right? Is there any change management issue about doing this training we need to consider? Is the training environment all well managed and up to date? Are we going to demo something and train users in an environment which is not the same version of what they will use when they go live? Well, that is a problem, right? Training materials, who's responsible for all these things, for creating training materials? So without spending too much time about the training plan, you can see it's more about the planning, right? Planning the training than creating a very detailed plan that nobody follows. But again, the important part is that training is planned and strategized, and it's not pushed as a set of tasks into the project plan. So the third element of the strategy, it's really about how we deliver it. So short and frequent with mixed media. It can be a short article. It can be a video. It can be a phone call. It can be a Teams meeting. It can be a couple of days on site. It doesn't have to be the same way, right? Short and frequent is better than long sessions only on certain days, even though project management would probably prefer the other, right? Although too much training can involve a small amount of wasted effort, because we might argue, well, Alfredo, if we do training again and again, eventually we might end up saying the same thing over and over. Well, not really. If your training plan is good, you don't end up repeating yourself. But even if that is the case, and it might be the case, too much training can involve a small amount of wasted effort because we may end up repeating ourselves. But when an organization is adopting a new application as complex as Dynamics 365, the cost of time is far preferable to users who are insufficiently trained on a sizable portion of their job. And you know what happens? You go through UAT and then you get, sorry, the system is not working. Why is it not working? I click here and I don't expect it to get an invoice, and the system is not generating the invoice. And so, oh, well, I told you 3 months ago when we talked about approvals that you need your line manager approval because the invoice is for more than £10,000. Oh, I forgot about that. Those things in an organization with 50 super users and 200 employees can easily become 2 months of delays for a project that should have been completed easily, and then you have 2 months of back and forth of things that appear to be defects, but it's really all about users not knowing what they're doing. And so eventually training has failed and users are behind with work, and then you pay a heavy price. So short and frequent with mixed media. How can we do that? Well, the first thing is to leverage Microsoft Learn for early training. When we deliver training early, which is for user familiarization, put together a training, let's say, content based on Microsoft Learn. And Microsoft Learn is designed, which is modular and very specific. So, of course, don't send your clients, so look, check Microsoft websites and learn, because that's really not really a strategy. But match the scope of the project and put together in a simple Word document. Look, this is the list of 50 articles that describe pretty much what's in scope. And you start with this article and then move to the next one, and then move to the next one. And give your team, your clients, self-learning material that they can use. Don't waste time on generic training because consultants are costly, right? And we don't need specific training. Short and frequent training. Create a learning repository for your training material, right? Start early. It doesn't have to be a Word document of 500 pages. You can create a learning repository in a SharePoint site. Use SharePoint and put together a training, let's say, repository. You can have a mix and match different medias, right? You can have URLs and websites from Microsoft. You can have blog posts, for example. You can have your organization, your own training material. There are lots of organizations with their own intellectual properties, right? IP for extensions. Well, you certainly must have some kind of training documentation. Create a training documentation, save it in your company's website, share it with your client, and put together something which is arranged in a way that works for them. Use AI tools. Now we have AI like Copilot. I use Copilot every day. Draft training material. If you get all the requirements, the documents related to the project, solution design documents, functional design documents, into one repository, like a SharePoint site, then you can ask Copilot to fetch data from this project and ask Copilot to put together a training agenda for sales teams for this organization based on the scope and the details of the project that you will find in this website. And Copilot will draft the agenda for you. It will be a draft. It will never be 100% accurate. But one thing is to get Copilot to draft the training material and then ask for a consultant to review it and to fine tune it. Another thing is to ask the consultant to start from scratch, or even worse, to use a training agenda for another project and turn it into a training agenda for your next project. Because again, that is not really a strategy, right? And you end up wasting consultants' time, which means it costs your clients a fortune. You're charging consultant time, but you're not delivering consulting advisory, right? You're just writing templates. It's not okay. Lastly, consider a learning management system for your clients. If you're a large organization and you deliver 10 projects a year, put together a learning management system. The one that I use on this D365 training is very simple. We can help you set up one, but you don't have to. You can just Google learning management system, and there are lots of cloud learning management system. I've seen companies who manage to create a learning management systems using Dataverse and Power Apps. So if you've got a Power Apps team, ask them to put together a learning management system. You invest in that once, and then your clients will be grateful for that. So a lot about training, why fails, how to deliver it, when and who. And we talked about training strategy. We talked about training plan. How can we get everything together? Free resources and next steps that I want to share with you. And we get into the end of this webinar. So training readiness checklist online. And it's a document that you will receive via email. On the end of this training, you register for the training. You will get the my document and as an attachment in your email. Double check your spam folder, because D365 Training is a new company, so the domain, my email, might end up in your spam folder, but you will get that from me. So that is the training checklist that I created, that I use at work all the time. It's based on the training checklist that you will find on the Microsoft Success by Design documentation. But it's expanded. I expanded that checklist based on my experience. And it's really, as I say here, and as I wrote on the slide here, embed training into the initiate phase as part of the solution architecture, right? As I said before. So I will share that with you, and you will receive it in that email later. And lastly, if you want to learn more about how we can handle user training for your organization, you can book a discovery call. I got the link that I will share with you later. Again, I will send you by email, and we can talk. And it's free. I'm not going to, of course, to charge you for that. Well, I will guide you through our methodology. I say ours, the D365 training. It's a methodology that I developed throughout the years. Again, it starts with the foundations set up by Microsoft, but it expands on that. How we can make you save time and money even during the, for training. And I will show you how we use AI to cut training preparation and handouts. And then whether you want to use us or you want to use it in your organization, you're free to take the strategy and use it in your organization, right? And I will also show you our learning management system for Dynamics application. Again, you can learn about my learning management system, and you can recreate what you will see with your own tools. It's not going to be a sales call. I just wanted to share it with you. Okay. And so this is what's going to happen. And again, 40 minutes into this call, I originally scheduled the training for 1 hour, but really we can open the room for questions. If anybody's got any question, we can talk. We can talk about it. And I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. Let's look at the chat. Anyone with any question? Let me see. No question yet. No problem at all. Chat. Let me see. Actually, I've got a few questions. All right. Illustrating vitamin state notes. Okay. We got a note takers, AI note takers. That's very nice. There we go. We got a few hello. Thanks a lot. No problem at all. Send it recording. Yes, absolutely. We will send the recording. No problem at all. Can you explain more about your learning management system now? Absolutely. Absolutely. I can tell you more about the learning management system. So, a learning management system is a software, it's a cloud application designed to help users learn. Okay, so Yanni, you're helping us, but I would like to help your plan to ensure a successful rollout. Absolutely, Yanni. No problem at all. So let me talk about the learning management system. Learning management system, LMS, it's a cloud application that is designed to help users go through learning paths step by step in a way which is intuitive, it's modular, and it's designed to address the specific training needs of individuals. It's not just a collection of training material. It's not just a YouTube playlist, right? It's not about that. It's a software. It's a cloud application that you log in with your own details based on your profile, on your permissions. You will see the learning paths that have been assigned to you based on your role, based on the applications, and then you will see your learning paths. The learning lessons are also defined based on what the organization decided to give to you. In our learning management system, we have mostly video training, small videos of 5 to maximum 10 minutes each, and after each one, you will have a summary and a quiz. You will answer a few questions. You have hands-on exercises. You can have a lab when you can actually work and try out what you learned. And the learning management system will also keep track of what you're doing, right? And so it will assign you a sort of a score like that you can review afterwards. And so based on my learning management system, I need to learn more about finance and accounting. Well, I'm very strong on sales and operations, for example, right? So it can get a bit complicated, but really, in very simple terms, a learning management system is a cloud software which is designed to help you learn the applications that you use at work. It is personalized and it's based on your exact needs and roles in the organization. Thank you. Really interested. It felt like a 15-minute session. Thank you very much for your feedback. I'm very happy to hear that it felt shorter, which means that I managed to convey information and keep it engaging. Thank you very much. Mohammed, while using the Microsoft training, we found out that the Microsoft training website is not always up to date. Very true. As Business Central is updated frequently, but the training material is not updated often. It's true, Mohammed. It's very true. This is a problem. And that's why Microsoft Learn website, Microsoft Training, it's perfect for early training, user familiarization. You learn the basics. It's generic training. And for specialized training, you cannot use generalized resources, even if you might argue, well, it's Microsoft, right? And so they are the vendor of the software that they claim, to teach. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the thing, right? In Dynamics, you could say Business Central is updated frequently. Finance and operations, the same. Customer engagement, the same. Power BI is updated even more frequently. Every couple of weeks, we see something new. Sometimes it's amazing what they can do. And so this is the role of the consultant. And this is why a learning management system, because with a training plan and with bespoke training as your training partner, right? I know that you use manufacturing, for example, for D365 supply chain management, right? I know that you use visual scheduling. The moment Microsoft releases a new update for visual scheduling, I need to ensure I will update your learning management system. I will reach out to you. Hey, you know what? We got this training session coming up because there is a new thing. It's going to be live training, and then I will update your learning management system, right? Julius, my friend, we work together, very often, Julius. Two questions. You have any advice on how to manage longer online training sessions, make it more exciting? Yes. Don't do long training sessions. That's very simple. Long online sessions kill engagement. There's no way people can pay attention to a consultant talking for 3 hours. Keep it short. Stop often, right? Hands-on exercises. Talk for 20 minutes. Demo for 20 minutes, right? Give you good advice. Sometimes have a 9 to 3 p.m. session with only a few breaks. It's not going, it will never work, Julius. From 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., just a few only breaks. You know what? That is the project management thing. That is exactly. Look, Bert, you wrote this comment, Bert, as I said it. What project management tool you use, right? Project management. When do you train customization? I'm going to go that. So it's project management says, well, we need to do training, right? And we got 10 hours on the budget. Let's do 5 hours in 2 days, and then we're done. Right. Project management, very happy, but the team will never possibly learn anything. So break it often. When I do one-to-one training for my clients, even when we go with something which is very complex, you know what we do? 3 hours, maximum 3 hours. And one of you is actually in this chat, right? That you can testify. 3 hours training, no more than that. Very intense, very precise, right? We only talk about what's important. 3 hours, and it's already a lot. We take breaks, but it must be short and concise, right? So how do you handle a training with a group of diverse background, levels of IT and ERP wise? You don't. Julius, again, you cannot train users effectively if you have a team in the same room, people with diverse background or IT levels and ERP wise. You can't. For those of you who have children, let me ask you this question. You have a child in, I don't know, year 7, right? Would you be happy if your child went to school and in the classroom, that your child, year 7, will have to learn in a class when they have year 9, year 4, right? What do you think are they going to learn? Training is not modular, right? It's rules-based and it's specific to the business process. You cannot train users effectively if you have, someone who's an expert in manufacturing and someone is, basic accounting. It will never work. Again, to save budget, to save time, project managers, well, I may tell you, let's get 20 people in the room. Let's give 3 hours of training, 6 hours training to everybody, done and dusted. No, it's done and dusted for you, but your client will never be happy, right? So, Michael, thank you, very helpful. Thank you. Very helpful. Another question: could you perhaps elaborate a bit more on how key user training, who are likely having no deep experience as a trainer, could check on the success on getting knowledge stick in the user? Excellent question. Excellent question. So, how key user training could check on their success in training when they knowledge end user training? Very good. Training objectives in the training plan. You might remember it was in the slide. Training objectives must be smart training, smart objectives, specific, measurable, achievable, and time framed. So we deliver training to a key user, right? It's inventory management. What do we have as training objectives? Well, users in who work with inventory management must be able to perform a cycle count for each warehouse location using the application, and they must be able to check using the automation tools, right? And they must be able to do it completely in less than 30 minutes with no errors, or maybe with less than 2% errors. That's how you measure it. It must be specific. You give you deliver the end user, key user training. Key users teach their team, and then they come back to you and say, well, look, we delivered the training and now we are testing. We are in UAT and we do cycle count, but we always end up with 20% of errors. and it takes my team 2 hours. Well, something went wrong. Let's go back to it, right? Let's see what went wrong. Must be configuration, must be data, must be training. Either ways, you must know about this stuff because they must be fixed before go live. Otherwise, you know what's going to happen is they have to go live and you get 50 emails and the support team, inventory doesn't reconcile. I cannot count inventory, right? And so, absolutely. So, Bert to say, when you train with the customizations made specifically for your clients, for example, payroll import or whether invoices are auto posted after approval. Absolutely. So Bert, two parts of the question. What project management tool do you use? I work very well with Microsoft Project. And so project management, the Microsoft a tool for project management, I work very well with that. But in short projects, I was also happy to use Excel. To be honest with you, it depends on the complexity of the project. Project management tool, Microsoft Project, in my opinion, is still very good. It can be very complex if you want to learn it. I'm not a project manager, but really Microsoft Project works very well. However, if we instead of talking about project management, we talked about the overall, let's say, application management, right? Delivery management for Dynamics applications, I prefer to use DevOps. Azure DevOps because it allows me to put the training together with the scope, together with the repos. I can see the code. I can see everything about that project. So it's not really about project management, but a tool to manage again DevOps, right? So Azure DevOps on top of my list. If it's a short project, Microsoft projects will work very, very well. If it's a quick, like bespoke training for 2 weeks, Excel, and it's okay. So excellent. So Julius, it's a major challenge to bridge gap in a diverse group. Absolutely. This is when people sign up for a standard training, sales with only prerequisites, basic training. Yeah, look, sales, generic sales training, basic training. I argue, do you really need a consultant to do that? Do you really? Is it really a good investment to pay, 500, 600, in some organization, £1,000, British pounds a day, sometimes even more, for basic training? I say if you want the sales team made of a diverse group of people with different IT skills, I say save your budget. Don't pay me. Don't hire me for basic training. Go online. I will spend 30 minutes putting together a training program repository for you based on Microsoft Learn, and I will give it to you for free. Save the budget for bespoke training. Once you start using the system, and if the system is configured like standard and you don't need anything else, you don't need more help because self-learning, it's okay, right? It's a very simple project. CRM, sales, opportunity management only. You don't need training. You don't need training if you want to use opportunity management, and that's it, right? But when you talk about the complex implementation, don't waste budget on basic training. And I am a trainer. I'm telling you, don't give me your money for basic training. Save the budget. Learn by yourself and then invest in bespoke training plan and a strategy that will help your team to get up to speed and to master the application. Don't pay for generic stuff, right? Excellent. Lovely. Well, it was very nice talking to you. Lots of questions. I love the interactions and almost 2 hours, 24 people online. It's amazing. I really see training that sticks, engagement, right? This is an example when we put together something that helps people let's say keep up with complex concepts in a way which is fun, which is interactive. Training wins. So Julius, 9 to 3 with only a few breaks. Please don't do that, man. Don't do it. I feel your pain. Okay, that will never really work. But again, I'm happy to see you online. Julius and I often talk, online, and so eventually one day we will have the opportunity to work on a project together, isn't it? Lovely. Okay, well, 1 hour 56 minutes. I think we can close it here. Julius, excellent thumbs up, lovely. Right. So thanks all for attending, and thank you very much for your feedback. Brilliant session. Thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate your feedback. Really appreciate it. Very grateful. As I said before, I'm going to put everything together in this video, and I will send you the recording and the slides and my document for your training checklist. Again, if you want to learn more about how we can help, you can book a discovery call, and I will guide you through my strategy. And again, it's not going to be a sales call. You can take it, and then you can use it in your organization. All right. Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody. Excellent delivery. Thank you, Asif. I really appreciate it. Juan Garcia, thank you. Thank you very much, all. Excellent. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the evening, everybody. Thank you.